Everybody's been asking for this, so here we go. The behind the scenes of a real Hollywood movie that I made. An epic production called To the Ends of Time. It was quite a production. And I'm going to show you all kinds of secret Hollywood Markus tricks. So grab some popcorn and make yourself comfortable.
I'll not leave. Oh, shit.
Boy, do I have a treat for you today. I was cleaning out my closets and way in the back are these two big, giant, heavy boxes of VHS dailies from the movie I made. What are dailies? Well, back in the 90s when people were making movies, they'd have to shoot real film. And that film would get rushed to a lab at night and it would get developed overnight and then rushed to a screening room the next morning where the producer, the director, the DP, and the gaffer would review the footage. This was really a lot of stress because you'd have to be at the screening room at 7 a.m. in Burbank to review the footage, and then you have to get in the car and drive another half hour to the stage, which is a half hour away in Sunland, to start shooting at 8 a.m. So people in the film business got no sleep while making movies. Anyway, the lab would also give you a quick and dirty backup VHS of the footage that was developed that night. And these are called dailies because you'd see them daily. So you could review this at any time without a projector. Well, I found a box of these things. They're 30 years old. I apologize for the video and the audio quality because it's been degrading for 30 years, but it's still good enough for you to see what was going on because this is fascinating stuff because only 4 people have ever seen this footage. This is right out of the camera. Nobody on the set has seen this except the producer, the director, the gaffer, and the DP. A lot of this is unused footage, and you get a great glimpse of what it's like to make a movie behind the scenes and some of the outtakes and stuff like that. Great stuff. I think you're going to love it. Remember, this is before video, before digital effects, before CGI. I was doing effects back then that a lot of people in Hollywood didn't even know about. Some really, really primitive, simple, easy tricks that you can do in camera that I think you're going to get a real kick out of. So without further ado, again, sorry about the video and audio quality, but I think you're going to get a real kick out of it. A lot of people are throwing around the word cinematic nowadays on YouTube, so I think it's time to show you what it's like to make a real Hollywood movie. Are you ready? Here we go. So much work goes into making a movie. Let's take this one scene as an example. There's a big battle going on, all kinds of people flying through the air. There's a puppy in danger, and the young princess wants to go rescue the puppy. So she runs through danger with all kinds of explosions, grabs the puppy, and tries to save it. Okay, that's the scene. So let's break this down how we did this. First, we have to establish a big battle. Now, let me show you how much effort goes into every single little 1-second shot, starting with Princess running to safety. All right, we have to have a shot of her being escorted by the guards. They're running, explosions are going off. Okay, they're ushering her to this secret doorway that goes underground that's at the base of this big lion statue. Now, that lion looks huge. It looks like 30 feet tall. Well, it's... It's actually just a little 12-inch model plaster thing I bought at a store. This is called a foreground miniature. If you put it in front of the camera and the camera's like f/22, everything's in focus, including this little object in the foreground. So the lion's really close and the door is way back there. Okay, so now we have to establish the dog in peril. So you'd think that would be easy, right? Okay, we got this little puppy here. We got all these extras ready to run around and the camera's rolling. Okay, give it some food and here we go. Action. And the dog goes, wait, what's going on? The dog's all confused. All right, take 2. Calm the dog down, yell action, and the dog just runs off the shot. Okay. All right, here's the princess in the quote-unquote doorway. She hears the dog, she looks back, and she goes, oh no, I gotta save the dog. That's just black duvetine there with some 2x4s. Now we have to establish her running back out again. So same shot as before, but in reverse. The next shot is running to save dog. So here we have explosions going off, all kinds of commotion, handheld camera. She's running. All right, so now she's got to grab the dogs. Again, anytime you have animals in a shot, it's all right. She grabs the dog and she runs away, right? Okay, yeah, that seems easy, but this is how many takes we had to do to get that shot. So here's the dog. We needed to keep the dog in the shot. So somebody's actually holding on to the dog's leg so it can't run away. So now she's running with the dog. This is the next take. This is a projection. We're going to have explosions going off in the background. The guards are going to get blown up. Here we go. So we're running. So that gives you kind of an idea of how much is involved with one simple little 5-second scene. All right, here we have our wedding, and we have a lion in the shot with 300 extras. It's the big grand finale of the movie. Okay, so we had to march this lion through 300 extras. This was our big money day. And we obviously had multiple cameras from all different angles. This is the camera I was working. I was on a dolly.
Okay, Charlie. Action.
Everybody had to be really quiet. So here's this giant stage full of 300 people, and everybody had to be really quiet.
Okay.
Don't freak out the lion. And there's confetti flying around. This lion is probably like, what the hell? And we did this numerous times.
Hey, Marker.
Not every day where you have a full-grown lion just walking through the crowd. He was really well behaved, though. The lion happened to be in town. He would just finish shooting Donnie Brasco with Johnny Depp and Al Pacino, and then they brought him over to my movie. He wasn't in the budget, but the trainer liked my movie so much he wanted to help. So here they are on the throne. Everybody's cheering. Now, this is a really loud, noisy scene. The lion is supposed to be at their feet, but you don't see it. She puts the crown on his head. Everybody's cheering. This was just too much commotion for an animal. So what we did is we got this shot with all the extras. Then we cleared the extras away, and we just had these two people in the room with nobody else but the lion. But you think there's all these other people in the shot, which they're really not. It's because we needed peace and quiet so the animal doesn't freak out. And we pull back to reveal the lion. And that's the big, beautiful ending there. By the way, those white streamers you see wrapped around the pillars, the posts, guess what that is? That's toilet paper. We ran out of money for this set. We were down to every last penny on this movie. If you knew what we got away with here. Okay, stunts and extras. All right, here's where all the big, exciting stuff is. All right, we got a whole bunch of extras here.
3, 2, 1.
Whoa! Yo, baby!
And stunts. There's another angle of the same one and another angle of the same thing. So you actually have multiple cameras always capturing the action from different angles. Lots of stunt people flying through the air, lots of explosions. I was really blessed. A lot of these stunt people were donating some of their time because they believed in the project.
And action.
Handheld cameras obviously add more dynamic energy to the shot. As long as there's a lot of movement, it doesn't always have to make logical sense. These are just cardboard tubes and hot glue designs on the top. That's a sky painting I did in the background there. That's not a real sky, that's a painting. Oh, and of course we had to have a stranded baby in the middle of this battle sequence. Our line producer actually let us use his baby in the middle of this battle sequence. There's people running around, debris, smoke, everything, and the baby's crying, and just to add some emotion to the shot. Oh, the poor thing.
Running through! Again! Run through! Keep going! Keep going! Closer to the baby! Safely! Keep going, go again!
That baby is now 30 years old. Here we have a scissor lift on the back of a U-Haul truck lifting these people up as if it was some kind of lift in the castle.
Mark.
These are just different angle shots of people running into position. More extras and stunt people. Every day it was stuff like this. There's definitely an energy on a movie set that's really addictive. I like this shot. It represents the kid being excited about all the action going on and wanting to be a part of it. I like the camera angle. I like the action. I just like this one. We had a lot of extras, a lot of props, a lot of costumes.
Mark. Clear. And action.
All right, this is kind of interesting here. You don't hear the background. It's only the main actor that makes a sound.
And action.
What on earth are you doing up here? You could have been killed.
I wanted to help.
You're too young now. Go on, get out of here.
Alexander, we won! We won!
What on earth are you doing up here? You could have been killed.
No, I wanted to help.
Too young to help. Go on, get out of here.
And then later on, all the clanking and cheering is added in.
Back.
What on earth are you doing up here? You could have been killed. You're too young to help. Go on, get out of here.
This is Billy Zabka from Karate Kid.
Where's the actual sculpt of my body that they made the suit out of?
Here's an example of a scene and how important coverage is.
Settle.
First, you do a wide shot of the main scene. So if none of the other cameras work, at least you have this. And then you move in close for different angles. That's Christine Taylor, by the way, who was Marsha Brady in the Brady Bunch movie.
You'll never get away with this, Saurus. You're not thinking clearly.
Not thinking clearly, there's no one left to stop me.
And James Paradise from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
The people will only be slaves to that
The
witch.
people? The people? Why should I care what happens to the people? It's about time they learned a little respect!
Mark.
You'll never get away with this, Saurus. You're not thinking clearly.
And after all of this, the whole dungeon scene was ultimately cut out of the movie to help it move along faster. Good filmmakers have to be able to let stuff go. Oh, this is funny. We wanted a establishing shot of a rat running across the bars. And everybody was feeding this rat. It was so cute that when it came to the time for it to run across the bar, it was so full it didn't want to move. And we tried to coax it with peanut butter and cheese and whatever we could. And it's just like, I'm not interested. I don't know. Just leave me alone. It just didn't want to do anything. And we kept trying to coax it along. Come on. Here's some, try this. Do you like this? And it just didn't want to move. Eventually it did. I don't remember what we did to make it move. Oh, we used blasts of air. We used puffs of air to blow it. That's kind of funny. All right, here we have a foam core fake stone thing with a kid standing in front of it. That's a real sky. But then for the evening shot, this is a front projection with a cutout moon that I painted that we just hung on in the air. And when you put it together, it looks pretty good. I call this the Luke Skywalker shot where he's yearning for adventure. This is one of my favorite sets, the Alchemy Lab. It's like Leonardo da Vinci's studio. It's another set that uses front projection, the sky in the background. Here it is nighttime with the galaxy swirling in the background. And here it is at sunset. So we changed this front projection up top and we smoked up the room a little bit with rays of light, which is kind of cool. When you use front projection, you can actually have smoke and rays of light and all that. It interacts perfectly. It makes it look even more real. You could never do that with green screen. And then we smoked it up different levels here. This is a lot more smoke. We just tried different levels of different lights and smoke. This is really smoky. A little too much there, but we want to have stuff to choose from. All right, this is a miniature I did of when the castle's falling apart and aging. And here's the aged princess walking through the decaying hallways with these giant statues. Those are not giant statues. Those are only like 12 inches tall, and they're projected on this front projection screen. All right, here we have the young princess. We wanted to fill it up, so she had all these animals filling up this overly ridiculous princess room. The thing is, when you let animals go, they just scatter. So here's all the animal handlers holding an animal, and we go action, and then they run out of the shot. So the animals are in the shot. First thing they do is try to scatter, so we had to get the shot really quick. All right, here's another front projection shot. Here we have two actors. The roof they're on is real, but the background is a front projection, and she falls. The ledge they're on is real, but the downward view is a front projection. And we're not actually looking downwards. That's actually a miniature model that we took a picture of and projected. And they're actually on a diagonal piece of wood there, but we're not looking downwards. The camera's actually horizontal to the ground. It's an optical illusion. We needed a shot of him walking. Since he's at an angle, he's actually lying diagonally on a dolly, and we're moving the dolly, and he's acting like he's walking, but he's actually not walking. That was kind of funny. All right, here's some stairs we built. The stairs are the only thing that's real. The background is a 60-foot projection screen. You can change the background and the whole feel of it with lighting and what projection you use in the background. That's a background projection he's standing in front of. Here's another background projection. The only thing real here is the base they're walking on. And here's another projection. Oh, this was fun. He's not being blown sideways. The camera's sideways. He's actually hanging. Here he is standing on they take the ladder away, so now he's just hanging straight down. People are falling into airbags, and there's debris falling from above, but it looks like it's going sideways. So here we need powerful wind. We're actually using an airplane propeller. This is called a Ritter, and it creates a lot of wind. I guess some people could say this movie blew me away. Here's another forced perspective. He's in the foreground, and it looks like the ship on the right is in the background, but it's not. The ship is actually closer to the camera than the guy is. The ship is a miniature model. Here's another projection of the castle. The castle they're running in front of is a miniature model that was then projected on a front projection screen. Front projection does have some benefits over green screen. And this is another projection. And the railing that he's leaning on, those are plastic birdbath bases. One of my bright ideas. Cheap way to make railing. So we can change the sky because it's a projection. Now this is supposed to be an upshot of debris falling from above onto her, but obviously we couldn't have debris falling onto our main actress here, so it was a projection. She can't see the projection, so we have to tell her, okay, there it is, go, act, there, something's coming. That was kind of funny. All right, these are glass paintings. These are paintings that I paint, usually on glass. Sometimes they're matte paintings that are composited. Here I am painting a garden outside on the castle. Here's the king's bedroom. That ceiling doesn't exist. That's a painting right there. This is what it actually looked like. Here's the set. You can see the ceiling of the warehouse. And here's the painting, and here's what it looks like when you match the two. Now here's an example of a glass painting. She's walking in the woods. The castle's up there. That castle's not there, obviously. So here I am looking through the camera, and you can see the painting I did of the castle on the glass on the right there, just floating in the air. Here she is walking behind the painting. This is what happens if you don't line up the actor just right. So he had to tell her, okay, walk a little more to the right, stay in this path right here, but it worked. All right, here's another one, the castle stables. He's walking in front of the real set, but most of this is just that. That's all it is. And then you mix it with the real part that you built, and you shoot it at f/22, so everything's in focus, and it looks pretty good. All right, here's a fun one. The spiked gates are being lowered. You know what these spikes are? Oil funnels from the auto parts store. And they weren't just spikes on a gate. They were also trumpets for the grand finale. All right, let's look at some foreground miniatures here. Here's the king giving the speech.
Set sail with one single purpose.
Here's how he got the shot. He's actually on a scissor lift 30 feet up, way back there. That's me on the camera on the right, and that's a foreground miniature I built in the middle. When you look through the camera, you match up the background with the foreground, so it lines up perfectly, and this is what you get. Look how his hands go down on the railing. He's hitting the railing of the scissor lift, but you can't see it. It looks like he's hitting the railing of the foreground miniature. All right, here's another foreground miniature. The rotating cannon contraption. This is a cool one. These rotating cannons are miniatures. Each cannon's about 8 inches long. That's in front of the camera, which is 20 feet up in the air. And the actors are down below. This is the real part, and here's the fake part. And when you put the two together, you get this. Pretty cool. All right, here's another one. Here's an old ship stranded in the desert, and the actor's walking around on it. Well, that ship is only like 18 inches long. He's way back there, climbing up a real ladder onto a platform, but the ship is actually right in front of the camera. And now, the most important part of the movie.
Marker.
Marker.
And the fires of hell spewed forth, cleansing the land of all stagnation. Welcome home, my friend.
Take two. Speed!
Secure the cannons, but no one fires without my order. Is that understood?
Settle and action.
Full right rudder! Now! Damn you, Carnice. Secure everything!
Here's that airplane propeller again. This is a creepy scene.
And mine.
It is called Gomorrah and lies beyond the desert in the Deadlands.
If you think acting is easy, try and do an intimate death scene with 100 people standing around.
Mother and father would have been proud.
Background action.
Again, everybody's quiet except the actors.
I wish I could go with you. I know you do. But you've gotten your wish. You're a royal guard, assigned to the king. Impressive.
Why not teach the boy to fight, Alexander?
I will, of course, Doc.
Here's a funeral scene. Filmed it at the Disney Ranch. The lion just hanging out there. This was a really cool dolly shot.
This was a black day indeed.
We had some curved track going around.
Still no sign of Carnissa or Saurus, my liege.
Continue your search. Now leave me to my grief.
And it goes behind the tree. We follow the man backing up. It was a really cool shot. While they were filming that, I was a couple thousand feet away filming this shot. We often had 3 different teams filming stuff simultaneously. Oh, here's Sarah Douglas. She's great.
I know your secrets, Aeschylus, and I will not shrink from them as you have. The knowledge that you have denied me, I have taken. And now is the moment that I have been waiting for. Let the forces of nature tremble. I summons the winds and the rains to paralyze this stagnant, dying kingdom once and for all.
And Sarah Douglas is from Superman.
I just want to say that this has been one of the best experiences I have had on a film. The most delightful people.
Joss Ackland, he was from Lethal Weapon.
My dear officer, you could not even give me a parking ticket.
We've been at war with the Mauling Kingdom for more centuries than I can recall. It's been a never-ending cycle of bloodshed. And why? To right some half-forgotten ancient wrong. For greed, power.
Did you fall in love?
Even though time is money and everybody's in a hurry, you have to give actors time to do their job.
How did you know my name?
I don't know.
B marker?
For this one here, the camera's on a scissor lift, and we're going up, we're rising up with the kid to kind of stay with him. Meanwhile, explosions are going off. This is a cool shot.
And action. Cut, marker. And action.
That background sky is a painting I did. That's not real sky. We had so little time, we did this a lot. We just ran outside in the sunlight, put the actor in front of a backdrop, and just turned on the camera. The only lights was sunlight. And it looked real.
You're no help at all.
Mark?
Get it? And action.
No! No!
Oh, this is funny. We actually tied a camera onto a rope and lowered it from above. This is where a big thing falls on her and flattens her.
Uh-oh.
That was a foreground miniature, obviously. Now, this is a cool shot we came up with here. An actor starts walking forward, talking, and then he hands it off to the next actor, who hands it off to the next actor.
What is happening? All the crops, Your Majesty. There's a food shortage rapidly developing.
This is happening everywhere. Our messengers are returning daily with terrifying stories of aging from every corner of the world.
All right, here we have a shot where Christine is standing dangerously on the edge of a tall tower. She's actually only 18 inches off the ground, and that sky in the back is a painting I did. And I had to tell her to not wave her arms out because you'll see the shadow on the painting.
Sorry. All right. Okay.
that's a cut.
Speaking of animals, we had so many of them in the shot. Here she's holding a ferret out in the woods. But wait, there's more. Well, yeah, that's a bear. I mean, why not? Just put a bear in there. I put every penny in front of the camera. And what evil sorceress is complete without a python wrapped around her cauldron? And put a bunch of animals on the kid, too.
Yeah.
It's like Pet Detective.
Well, you must be busy.
That's me on the dolly down there while they try to keep the animals in the shot. The minute you let them go, they run off out of the shot. And no movie set's complete without a food fight.
And action!
And yes, this was actually part of the script, but we told people to just have fun and go crazy and have fun with it. And they did. It's amazing how slippery a floor gets after a food fight. But it was a lot of fun, and it relieved a lot of pressure from our crazy schedule.
Here we go. Action.
And no epic movie is complete without stuff like this. We had a whole army of knights on horseback in Death Valley. We had to fill out a lot of paperwork and a big insurance policy to be able to film in a national park like this, but boy was it worth it. That's me down there with an Airy 2C. This is what makes movie making exciting for me. Stuff like this. These guys just got back from Arizona shooting Tombstone, and they came right to Death Valley to shoot my scenes. This was in the middle of summer. It was 120 degrees. There was a dust storm the day we got there, so we had to wait an extra day to shoot, which cost us another $10,000, but it was worth it. Now this shot here, where they're walking through the desert, was actually on the side of a road, and I was just in the back of a pickup truck with the camera. And because it was on a road, it was nice and steady. Here they are returning from battle. And you can see the pickup truck mirror right there, right. And this is not a big budget movie. The whole movie was only $2.5 million, which is unheard of. 300 effects shots, knights on horseback in Death Valley, great actors, and a dedicated crew that gave everything they had to make this project possible because they knew it was a work from the heart. And of course I had to have my little cameo in the movie. And there you go. A real Hollywood movie.
You seem to ask the impossible. We cannot change man's nature.
There is a way. There must be a way. I want a world where art and ideas are held in higher regard than brute force.
So when you see a YouTuber telling you how to be cinematic, you might want to ask them what they've done.